Good evening to one and all. Welcome you all to the Daily Indian Express newspaper analysis for the date 2nd as well as 3rd February 2024, brought to you by Ganesh IAS Academy. Before going into today's current analysis, I have to mention you something about the other social media handles of the Ganesh IAS Academy. So the Ganesh IAS Academy is not only providing you with the exam related content in YouTube but also in other social media handles like Telegram, Twitter, LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram, so on and so forth. So the link for all the social media handles is given in the description. So please have a look into it. Okay. So this is what the thing is. Okay, let's get into today's newspaper analysis. Mentioned here are the list of articles which we are going to have the analysis in the upcoming slides. So have a look at it. Okay, these are all the articles which we are going to have the analysis in the upcoming slides. So we will look into each and every article one by one. Okay, the first article is the macro. That is the news is related to the macroeconomic viewpoint of the Indian economy that was brought out in the budget 2024. Okay, let's look into how the news has been related with examination. Under prelims, the news is related with economic as well as social development. Similarly, under mains, it has been related with GS paper 3 under the macro topic called economic development through a subtopic called Indian economy and issues relating to planning, mobilization of resource, growth, development and employment. This is how the news has been related with the examination. Let's look into the details of the news. So the macroeconomic viewpoint that has been brought out in the budget 24 is, see, the tax beyond C helps the center to align with its fiscal roadmap. See, the government aims to restrict the fiscal deficit to 5.8% of this current financial year against the budgeted estimate of 5.9% for this financial year, and the efforts will also be pushed to reduce the fiscal deficit to further 4.5% by 25-26 current year, 25-26 fiscal year. And the direct tax revenue also shown a surge in the recent years, particularly in the current financial years. So the income tax has seen a rise of 13.5%, and then the security transaction tax, which is the tax that has been levied on the securities transaction, as also the tax for it has also been raised by 15.8% against the budgeted estimate. And for the next financial year, the direct tax collection, which will include the income tax as well as the corporate tax, are estimated to rise by 13.1%, that is to 21.99 lakh crore. In terms of direct tax revenue, they have been estimated to grow by 17.2% year on year, that is to 19.45 lakh crore in the current financial year. That is, the revised estimate of this current financial year is going to, for the in terms of the direct tax revenue, is going to rise by 17.2%. The income tax collection in 2023-24, that is this financial year, is also expected to exceed the budgeted estimate by 1.2 lakh crore, and the corporate tax has maintained the same level, that is the same level in the revised estimate of 9.23 lakh crore, which is same as the budgeted estimate of this financial year. So in terms of the tax collection of the income tax collection is greater than the corporate tax collection in the overall direct tax collections. And the security transaction tax, that is the tax that has been levied on the security transaction, is also said to increase to 32,000 crore in this financial year according to the revised estimate, which is 27.6% higher than the actual estimate of the 22-23 period, that is the previous fiscal year. So this is what the overall macroeconomic view with regards to the fiscal deficit as well as the related income tax as well as the direct tax, other direct tax collections. And for the 24-25 time period, this security transaction tax is, as I said, is going to grow at 36,000 crore, and the government's gross tax revenue has grown by 11.5 percentage, that is to 38.31 lakh crore in the next financial year. In terms of the government's net tax revenue for this, for the next financial year is also expected to rise by 12 percentage, that is to 26.2 lakh crore by in the 24-25 financial year. And in terms of this fiscal year, for the 23-24, the budgeted estimate is expected to rise by the 10.8 crores, and it has been predicted that the next year, that is the next upcoming financial year's tax revenue, that is the overall tax revenue, is going to rise higher than the predicted or the expected GDP growth. So it is this is what the thing for the next year. For this financial year, the tax buoyancy, so tax buoyancy is nothing but the efficiency in the revenue mobilization against the GDP growth. For this year, it is 1.2 against the estimated 1.0. And over the past few years, this direct tax collection has increased progressively, as well as progressively and also in a healthy manner. So based on this trend, it is expected that the fiscal deficit for this financial year, for the upcoming financial year, will be contained by 5.1 percentage. And if this momentum is carried on, means it has been aimed to contain the fiscal deficit by 4.5 percentage in the 25-26 time period. So this is what the thing with relates to the macroeconomic viewpoints of the which has been mentioned in the budget 24. And in terms of indirect tax collection, it has been indirect tax collection means it is not only GST but also the customs as well as the excise duties. In terms of GST, it has been expected to increase by 13 percentage to 9.18 lakh crore for the next financial year. And in terms of indirect tax collection, which includes the GST plus custom tax as well as excise tax, it also been expected to rise to 16.22 lakh crore for the next financial year. In the current financial year, the revised estimate for the customs as well as the excise duty collection have been lowered to 2.19 lakh crore and then 3.08 lakh crore respectively, and the GST collection is also estimated at the same level. The revised estimate is at the same level of the budget estimate of 9.57 lakh crore for this financial year. So this is what the thing with regards to the direct as well as the indirect tax collection. Okay, let's look into the negotiations with BITS, that is the bilateral investment treaty. It is the treaty which will be signed between two countries to ensure that there is the stability or sustainability in terms of the direct investment, that is the foreign direct investment. So the model BIT, that is the model bilateral investment treaty, was made by India during 2016. The previous bilateral investment treaty model was scrapped because of certain lacunae and also certain defeat that has been faced by India in the international court. So India is negotiating the BITs with trade partners to, as I said, to boost the foreign direct investment. Currently, India is negotiating the BITs with UK as well as US to encourage the, so as I said, the main aim of this BIT is to encourage the sustained investment, and at the same time, first the policy based on which this BIT is being made is first develop India policy only, under which only the BIT has been made. The entire negotiation which India carry forward with other countries to fructify the BIT treaty will be based on this policy only, to develop India. And the FDI flow during the 2014 to 2023 is $596 billion, which is twice than FDI which has happened during 2005 to 2014 time period. The BIT has dipped as number of trade partners were against. So the BIT, that is the bilateral investment treaty, have dipped in recent years because certain countries are hesitating to negotiate with India with regards to the bilateral investment treaty. The reason is the clause exhaustion of local remedies. So what is this exhaustion of local remedy is? So whenever there is a dispute that arises between the state as well as the foreign investment or the foreign companies that has been operating in India, the local remedy, that is the first instance they need to go is to the local courts, not to the international court. Only after the exhaustion of the local remedies only the foreign companies need to approach the international court. So that this is what the meaning of exhaustion of local remedies about. So most of the countries are hesitating to sign BITS treaty with India for this policy only, for this kind of provisions only they have been hesitating to do. And why they are hesitating, why they are hesitating to go to the local courts of India rather than going to the international court is because of concern in the delay of the resolution of disputes. For example, India has ranked 163 out of 190 countries in the World Bank's ease of enforcing contracts index. So it is taking approximately 1,445 days, and then 35% of the claim value for the dispute resolution. So a huge chunk of money has been wasted or been drained in the form of legal process that has been happening in the domestic courts. So that is the reason why the countries are hesitating to this kind of clauses that has been inserted in the BIT treaty by India. So this is what the thing after 2016, that is after the model BIT treaty which has been introduced by India. Before 2015, India had a BIT treaty, but it was scrapped. With 83, before 2016, India had BITs with 83 countries. Most of them got scrapped. Right now, India is operating with the old BIT treaty with only 6 countries. And as I said, the suspension or the scrapping of this treaty has happened because of the high profile defeat which India faced in the international courts. And this is the one thing. And in terms of foreign direct investment, in most importantly, equity investment has declined by 24% in the April-September time period of this financial year. And this is according to the government data. The total FDI, not only the equity inflow, but also the reinvested earnings and also the other capitals also been declined by 15.5% in the April-September time period of this financial year. So this is what the overall scenario with regards to the foreign direct investment is about. And the dip, what government has said is that the dip in the respective time period of the foreign direct investment is happened mainly because of geopolitical issues and also because of the economic setback that has been experienced by major developed countries, which are all the major developed countries which are the major trading partners with India. So this is what the thing with regards to the bilateral investment treaties about. Okay, let's look into the another thing, that is center to follow a calibrated approach to the disinvestment in the next financial year, that is the financial year 25. So center has revised its disinvestment target for the current financial year to 30,000 crore from the earlier predicted 51,000 crore. And this calibrated approach, that is government is following calibrated approach for the next financial year. Why? Because see, the government has estimated that government will be getting 50,000 crore as revenue in the form of miscellaneous receipt. This is what has been mentioned in the budget rather than terming it as the disinvestment. The government focus is only on the wealth creation rather than wealth deterioration, and the government is focusing not only on disinvestment but also ensuring that the already prevailing central public sector enterprise to do good with governance as well as their development as well as their performance. A certain amount of money is also being invested is going to be invested in the next financial year for the central public sector enterprises in these 3 areas to ensure that they will be creating revenues and at the same time they will also be producing assets for the government of India. And it also want to disinvest certain assets which is not useful for the government in the future course in the calibrated way, rather than disinvesting at the one stroke. Not government is not interested in disinvesting the asset at a single stroke. It wanted to disinvest the asset in a step-by-step manner. So government, in terms of disinvestment, technically government is not expected to receive any money from the monetization of the public asset in the current financial year because of the termings that has been used in the budget. So the government has so far achieved only 40% of the revised estimate targets of the disinvestment. Still 60% of the money or 60% of the disinvestment proceedings need to be bought by fructified in the next 2 months by the government. So see, the revenue receipts from the disinvestment will be happening from the offer for sales as well as the initial public offering. So these are all the major chunks which contributes for the disinvestment proceedings of Government of India, and in terms of disinvestment they are part of center's non-tax revenues which will enable to narrow down the budget deficit for the Government of India in the upcoming financial year. So this is what the graph is about. So during 2022 and 23 time period, we could able to see that it was budgeted to disinvestment nearly 60,000 crores, but only 34,000 crore rupees only have been realized. In terms of 23-24, it has been budgeted to achieve, that is the revised estimate is 30,000 crore, but actual realization has happened until today is 12,504 crore. So still there is a gap need to be covered to fructify the entire budgeted estimate. And after Air India as well as the Ispat Nigam Limited privatization, government has suffered, or government could not able to do complete privatization in the other organization which it had intended to do. And then the privatization plan for companies like BPCL, Shipping Corporation of India as well as Container Corporation of India has been first announced around the 2019 but got delayed due to the pandemic related lockdowns and restrictions. And a new scheme is going to be introduced to benefit over 1 crore of taxpayers. What is that is, see, the government is going to introduce a scheme which provides a resolution for disputed direct tax demand, which will be dating back to 1962, where the year where the Income Tax Act has been enacted. So under which the government will withdraw tax demand up to 25,000 crore up to 2009-10 time period, and then it will withdraw the tax demand up to rupees 10,000 from 2011 to 2014-2015 time period, and it would also benefit the 1 crore taxpayers based on the input that has been given by the government. What the finance minister has said is that it is expected to benefit 1 crore taxpayers, which is approximately 1/8 of the income tax filers, and the outstanding tax demands is creating administrative hiccups in calculating the next year's refund which has been applied by the income tax filers. So as a result of which there is a delay in calculating as well as giving the refund that has been made by the income tax payers. So to promote the ease of living as well as ease of doing business, such kind of schemes or the dispute resolution scheme is being implemented by the government. As I said, in line with ease of doing business as well as ease of living, this scheme is being announced. So because of the number of petty issues, non-verified as well as non-reconciled or disputed tax demand has led to build-up of the certain tax disputes, which is very less in amount, like in the case of 25,000 rupees, 10,000 rupees, so on and so forth. And this tax disputes dates back to 1962. That is the reason why the scheme is going to get implemented from the tax disputes that has happened from 1962 to 2009-10. This 2009-10 time period has been fixed because during this year only the centralization of the income tax filing has happened. So because of the centralization of the income tax filing, there was some unwanted administrative errors and certain the petty issues, non-verified issues has happened, which in turn has delayed in terms of calculating as well as the retaining the income tax that has been raised by the income tax payers. So this will ease the living for the honest taxpayers because of the implementation of this scheme. So this is what the thing is about. And so this is what the whole explanation which I have given in the previous slide itself. So regarding the centralization of the tax that has happened during 2010-11 time period. So this is what the thing with regards to the macro is about. Let's look into the another segment, that is the infrastructure. So the households to get 300 units free power under rooftop solar scheme. See, the people who are going to avail the newly introduced rooftop solar scheme will be entitled to get 3000 units of free electricity per month, which in turn will enable them to save 18,000 annually. So the Pradhan Mantri Suryodaya Yojana. So this Yojana is called as the rooftop solar power scheme, which was introduced by Prime Minister recently. Still the operation guidelines hasn't been provided. It is only the macro target has been provided, and what the finance minister has said is that it will be leading to saving up to 18,000 annually per family if they are going to adopt this scheme, and at the same time they will be entitled to get 300 units of free electricity, and it would not only enable people to save 18,000 crore per year, and at the same time they will be getting an opportunity to sell the surplus power to the discoms, and it will also enable adaptation of electric vehicle by providing the charging infrastructure at the home itself, and at the same time it will promote employment as well as entrepreneurship in terms of supplies, installation as well as distribution and maintenance. And this Pradhan Mantri Suryodaya Yojana adds on the ongoing rooftop solarization scheme, which is already been implemented across different parts of the country. And about 40% or 40 gigawatts of the government's target of setting up of 100 gigawatts of solar capacity by 22 was through the 40%. It was planned to achieve the 40% of the 100 gigawatts through the rooftop solar power, but only 11 gigawatts of this rooftop solar power has been achieved till now. And this Yojana, that is adaptation of the rooftop solar power to the 1 crore households, will ensure that the government will be achieving the 40% of this target which it intended to do, and it will also help the fiscal health of the discom because of the increased solarization and also at the same time selling up of the surplus solar power to the discom. So it is expected to save up to 2 lakh crore for the next 25 years. And the recent report from the CEEW, what it has said is that if 25 crore household is going to adopt the rooftop solar power, means they will be generating up to 637 gigawatts of solar energy on rooftop. So it would be unrealistic to tap the entire 25 crore household. It will be realistic to tap the 118 gigawatts of the rooftop solar power. It is possible to tap, that is 1/5 of it. So this is what the suggestion that has been made by it, and at the same time it will be contributing to the India's climatic goals, which it has intended to achieve in the United Nations framework for Convention on Climate Change. So if this thing is going to get fructified, means so India's candidature for conducting the Conference of Party 33 during 2028 will be strengthened. It will act as one of the strengthening factor for India's candidature for the Conference of Party 33. So this is what the positive aspect of the scheme is about. Okay, 1 lakh corpus for the innovation by the private sector. See, to incentivize research and development in private sectors, the financial corpus of 1 lakh crore will be provided at low cost or zero interest rate for the research and innovation. Private companies can avail the interest-free loan up to 50 years through this new mechanism. It is in line with the government's initiative or the government's recent reformulation of policy to mobilize the private sector contribution for the research and development. For example, recently government has introduced National Research Foundation, where NRF, then short form for the National Research Foundation is NRF, where it would be spending around 50,000 crores on research activity for the next 5 years, and more than 70% of this cost will be coming from the private sector only. In line with it, this 1 lakh corpus will be provided as the loan for the private sector, who will be investing in the research as well as innovation activities in their respective companies as well as the startups. And the government would be at the same time launching the deep technology in the defense sector, and government is also in the process of finalizing the policy for deep tech startups, which will go beyond the defense sectors. So this is what the thing that has happened in budget with regards to the technological infrastructure. And fast and safe 40k, that is 40,000 bogies to be safe on to be made into Vande Bharat grade. So 40,000 normal rail bogies will be upgraded to the Vande Bharat standards, so that they will be, so the speed as well as efficiency and then the capacity of the trains or the bogies will get enhanced, which in turn will be reducing the time taken by the people to travel. The bogies will be manufactured by ICF, the Integrated Coach Factory. And at the same time, 3 major economic railway corridor is going to get implemented, which aims to improve the logistic efficiency and at the same time reducing the cost, and then it will be focusing on energy, mineral, cement as well as port connectivity. This will be implemented along with the already implemented dedicated freight corridor, and as a part of the economic 3 economic railway corridor, 40,000 kilometer of new tracks will be laid in the next 6 to 8 years. So this is what the thing that has related to the railway infrastructure. And for the financial year 24-25, the estimated budget that has been allocated to the railway is higher than the revised estimate of this financial year, that is 23 and 24. See, it has been allocated a sum of 2.65 lakh crore against the 2.6 lakh revised estimate. And in terms of the National Highway Authority of India, it has been allocated to 1.68 lakh crore for the next financial year, which is higher than the revised estimate of this financial year, and same is the case for Ministry of Roads and Transport. And in terms of capital outlays for the railways commercial line, it has also been increased when compared to the revised estimate of this financial year. So this is what the thing that has happened in the railways infrastructure. Okay, let's move on to the rural part of the budget. So the job guarantee scheme outlay has stayed at 86,000 crore, and there is no change in the PM Kisan scheme. See, the 86,000 crore has been allocated for NREGA scheme, which is same as the level for the current financial year. The 2 pandemic years, that is 2021 and 21-22, has increased the demand for the NREGA job, which in turn has increased for the allocation of the fund for this scheme during the respective 2 pandemic years. And it guarantees minimum 100 days of unskilled work in the financial years, the particular financial year, and for even after the pandemic, that is during 2020-23, this scheme the demand for job through this scheme hasn't been declined. This is the first year where the normalcy has been restored. That is the reason why during this financial year the budget has been slashed down for the NREGA scheme, and it has been provided that the budget will be increased according to the requirement as well as according to the demand that might happen if there is any unforeseen reason. But until now it hasn't happened. Any unforeseen reason hasn't been happened during this financial year, as a result of which the slashed budget has been made. So there is no increment hasn't been made for this financial year. Same as the case for the next financial year. It has been allocated 86,000 crore, and it has been expected that the surge in the job demand will not happen like in the case during the two pandemic financial year. And this is what the thing with regards to it. The NREGA scheme, as I said, is the demand driven scheme. The government can always meet the additional fund through the supplementary demands for grants. So that is the reason why the fund has been slashed down during this financial year as well as the next financial year. So whenever there is any surge means because of any unforeseen or emergency act means because of the supplementary, through the supplementary demands, government will be mobilizing fund and they will be increasing the fund for the NREGA scheme. And this is what the trend with regards to the allocation of fund as well as the work done for the NREGA scheme. So we could able to see that during 2020-21 as well as 22, see we could able to see that there was surge in the allocation because of the increased job demand for this financial year. But it has been slashed down to 60,000 during this financial year, but it got increased to 86,000 as a part of revised estimate, and the same as the case for 86,000 crore for the next financial year. So this is what the thing related to the NREGA scheme. 500 crore for drone didis as well as plans for India's self-reliance in the edible oil. So first we look into the drone didis. The government will be forming strategies to achieve Atmanirbhar in edible oil through measuring through measures like increasing the research activities and also modernizing the farming techniques. And the efforts will also be stepped up to value addition in the agriculture sector and also for boosting the farmers' income. And the promotion of investment will also be made in the post-harvest activities, where the major wastages as well as a lack of infrastructure deficiencies been happening has happened. So a promotion of investment in the post-harvest activities is going to get boosted in the next financial year. And 500 crores have been allocated for the drone Didi scheme, which aims to provide drones to 15,000 women self-help group for providing the rental service to the farmers, so that they will be having or earning certain money from the rentals, which in turn will increase the livelihood of the women self-help group. In fishery sectors, 5 integrated aquaculture will be set up, and India relies mostly on the imports for its domestic edible oil needs. For example, during 22-23 year, India imported nearly 165 lakh tons of cooking oil, which is worth of 1.38 lakh crore. So in order to overcome this import dependency on edible oil by India, the research on the farming techniques as well as the post-harvesting investment will be stepped up, which in turn will be leading to increased domestic production of the edible oil. Of the 1.27 lakh crore, Ministry of Agriculture as well as out of the 1.27 lakh crore that has been allocated for Ministry of Agriculture and Farmer Welfare, 1.17 lakh crore will be allocated for Department of Agriculture, and then 9,941 crore will be allocated for the Department of Research, which is related to agriculture. And setup of the separate Department of Fisheries has led to doubling of inland as well as aquaculture production. And at the same time, Pradhan Mantri Matsya Sampada Yojana will be stepped up, where the targets have been revamped to enhance the aquaculture production from the existing 3 to 5 tons per hectare, and then doubling the export to 1 lakh crore, and then generating 55 lakh employment. So this is what the stepped up target of Pradhan Mantri Matsya Sampada Yojana. So this is what the thing that is related to agriculture. Let's look into food, fertilizer, fuel subsidy to fall to 5-year low. The reason for it. The center's subsidy bill on these 3 F's, that is food, fertilizer as well as fuel, will be falling to 5 years low of 3,18,175 crore in the 24-25 year as a part of, this is as the part of interim budget. And what is the true drivers for this kind of decline is, the first driver is discontinuity of free ration. So during pandemic as well as post pandemic, government has provided free ration in addition to the already subsidized grain which the people are getting it through the PDS system. As a result of which, government's subsidy bill got raised during the pandemic as well as the post pandemic years. So government has discontinued the free grains which it has provided as the part of the welfare mechanism during pandemic as well as the post pandemic time period. As a result of which, grains offtake through the PDS has been reduced to 64 to 65 million tons in this financial year, against the 92.9 million tons in the 2021, and then 105.6 million ton in the 21-22, and then 92.7 million tons in the 22-23 time period. And at the same time, in terms of offtake at the, this is the scenario in terms of offtake at the PDS system. In terms of procurement as well as the stock that has been held by the government is also been declining. These are all the things that has been contributing to the reduction in this subsidy. And at the same time, during 2021 time period, government's subsidy bill raised a all-time high of 5,41,330 crores, mainly because of one-time provision were made to enable the Food Corporation of India to repay the loan which it has got from the NSSF. As a result of repayment of the loan which it has taken from the Food Corporation of India has taken from the NSSF, government's debt as well as the interest paying liability also got reduced, which is also contributing to the decline in the subsidy bill. So previously, that is before 2020-21 time period, government will not be providing the subsidy through its money. It will be providing subsidy through the loans that has been obtained from the NSSF. So after repaying the major chunk of the loan to NSSF, it will be drastically reducing the debt as well as the liability of interest as well as the debt repayment. And second is the fertilizer bill. The fertilizer bill has increased to 2,51,339 during 22-23 time period. So during this year only, the Russian-Ukraine war has happened, which has led to increased international fertilizer price and also increased international raw material price, which is necessary for making the fertilizers. After the strengthening of supply chain, this fertilizer prices at the international level has also got reduced, which in turn is adding to the reduced or declining subsidy bill to the government of India. So this is what the thing with regards to the agricultures and then rural area. In terms of welfare, first 2 crore new rural house as well as a new scheme is going to get introduced for the urban home buyers. First, 2 crore house will be built under Pradhan Mantri Awas Yojana Gramin in rural areas for the next 5 years. The new scheme will be bought to help the middle income class group to buy or build the own house in the urban area. and the government has allocated rupees 54,500 crore for the Pradhan Mantri Awas Yojana Gramin scheme, which is aiming to build 2 new rural households in the upcoming financial years. And this Pradhan Mantri Awas Yojana has 2 components. One is Awas Yojana program component and another is the interest payment to the NABARD for ERB loans. The program component was allocated 28,174 crores in the revised estimate of this financial year, and then 3,825 crores for the interest payment to NABARD for EBR loan components in the revised estimate of this financial year. And then what does this Pradhan Mantri Awas Yojana Gramin is about? It is the central government scheme which involves the states to provide pucca house with minimum area of 25 square meters with the basic amenities to people in rural areas who are homeless or living in the kucha or the dilapidated houses. And each beneficiaries will be getting around 1.2 lakh crores, those who are living in the plain areas, and then 1.3 lakh crores for those people, those who are living in the hilly and difficult terrain areas or the backward or tribal areas. And then the fund will be splitted between central as well as state government, the ratio of 60:40, and with the target of constructing initially the target for constructing the target that has been set under the Awas Yojana Gramin is 2.95 crore house by the 2024. So against this target, nearly 2.94 crore houses has already been sanctioned, and under it 2.5 crore 56 crore houses has already been built. And the new target of 2 crore households for the next 5 years has been sanctioned through this recent budget. Government makes human papilloma virus vaccine shot for the girl a priority in this interim budget, and then no separate allocation yet. So government will be encouraging vaccination for girls in the age group between 9 to 14 years for prevention of cervical cancer. Blueprint for its implementation hasn't been finalized yet, but it is only mentioned in news with regards to the vaccination for the girls between 9 to 14 years of age. This cervical cancer is the second most common cancer among women in India, with 1.25 lakh cases and around 75,000 deaths have been reported each year. Vaccine management platform, that is UWIN, will be created on the lines of CoWIN, which is being used for COVID-19 vaccine management for the government's universal immunization program. And government is likely to roll out the human papilloma virus vaccination for the adolescent girl who are aged between 9 to 14 years in the second quarter of the next financial year, and the population or the adolescent age girls will be covered in the 3 phased vaccination program. And after the third phase, these 3 phases will be acting as catch-up phase, and after the catch-up phase, this human papilloma virus vaccine will be added to the routine universal immunization program of Government of India. And campaign is likely to use the indigenously developed vaccine which is being made by Serum Institute of India, which is called as Servac, because of the cheaper cost and also at the same time increased efficiency in terms of its output. The most of the available human papilloma virus vaccine is from the Western country only. If India is going to import those vaccine, means the import bill and also their cost is very high when compared to the locally produced vaccine cost. And at the same time, governments, in terms of government health insurance scheme, it is also going to extend it to cover the ASHA workers and also the helpers. See, the 10 lakh ASHA workers as well as 24.5 lakhs Anganwadi workers who are working at the grassroots level to take the health related government scheme to the doorstep of the each rural households. And then to cover, in order to ensure those ASHA workers as well as the Anganwadi workers live in a healthy environment, the government's health insurance scheme has been extended to cover those workers. And then, so this health insurance scheme is called as Pradhan Mantri Jan Arogya Yojana, which provides a sum of 5 lakh annual coverage for the family to the poorest 40% of the country. And then apart from it, more medical college will also be built to cater to the aspiration of the youths. And at the same time, for this financial year, the MBBS seat got increased to 1 lakh in the current financial year. And at the same time, Pradhan Mantri Swasthya Suraksha Yojana, which was intended, the scheme, the Yojana was intended to build or increase the AIMS hospitals or AIMS college across India. The budget allocated for it was reduced by 1000 crores to 2330 crores. So this is what the thing that has happened in terms of health sectors. And in terms of Vikshit Bharat, a panel to look at the population. So high powered panel will be formed to look into the challenges that will be arising because of the fast population growth and as well as the demographic changes. The committee will be mandated to look into the problems that has been arising because of increased population and also opportunities that also arise along with the increased population as well as the demographic changes. So the challenges as well as the opportunities will be analyzed by the high powered committee, and then the recommendation will be submitted to the government of India. So this is what the thing is. On the contrary, the census data shows that there is a drop in fertility rate. So India's total fertility rate has declined from 2.5 in 2001 census to 2.2 in the 2011 census. According to the data that has been obtained from the National Family Health Survey, India's total fertility rate has further dropped to 2.0 during 2019-21, which is very much less than the replacement rate of 2.1. In certain states like Chhattisgarh, Arunachal Pradesh, Haryana, Odisha, Punjab, they are even more lesser. They are even more lesser than 2.0% or the recognized level of 2.1. So this is what the thing with regards to the fertility rate in India, and this is the committee that has been formed to look into the issue of growth of the increased population. Okay, these are all the things that has been broadly covered with regards to the budget 2024. Let's look into another topic called multidimensional poverty, its meaning as well as its numbers. First, we will look into how the news has been related with examination. Under prelims, the news is related to economic as well as social development. Similarly, under mains, it is been related to GS paper 3 under a macro topic called economic and development, through a subtopic called Indian economy and issues relating to planning, mobilization of resource, growth, development and employment. So the finance minister in her budget speech, what she has said is that nearly 25 crore households have been pulled out from the multidimensionally poverty situation. And how, on what basis this assessment has made is this data is based on the number that has appeared in the discussion paper, which is being brought out by the Niti Aayog. And the discussion paper name is Multidimensional Poverty in India since 2005 to 2006. And multidimensional poverty was found to decline from 29.17 crore in 2013-14 period to 11.28 crore in 22-23 period, with 24.82 crore people escaping the poverty between this time period. At the state level, Uttar Pradesh has topped the ranking with 5.9 crore people have escaped the multidimensionally poverty index, and then Bihar, Madhya Pradesh are following the Uttar Pradesh in terms of the ranking in the multidimensional poverty index performance. So okay, let's look into multidimensional poverty index, how it is being calculated. Traditionally, the poverty is being calculated based on the income method as well as the expenditure method. Most probably, the poverty level is classified or calculated based on the expenditure only. But this multidimensional poverty index is taking another approach. That is, it uses 10 different indicators under 3 macro indicators like health, education as well as standard of living. In terms of health, the drivers like nutrition as well as child and adolescent mortality will be given, the weightage will be given according to the respective indicators, sub-indicators. In terms of macro education indicator, the year of schooling as well as school attendance indicators are given importance. In terms of standard of living, as household assets, housing, types of cooking fuel, or access to sanitation, drinking water as well as electricity is being given importance. And then this is what the thing related to the general multidimensional poverty index at the global level. In terms of Indian multidimensional poverty index, 2 additional indicators will be added. First is maternal health, which will be added to the under the macro health indicator, and then bank account health, which will be added under the standard of living macro indicator. These are all the 2 Indian specific indicators. So, how the MPI, that is multidimensional poverty index, is being calculated is, so according to MPI, if a person is deprived in a third or more than 10 of the indicator means they are multidimensionally poverty. And to calculate the index, 3 separate calculations will be made. First is the incident of multidimensional poverty. How it has been calculated is, it has been calculated by the number of multidimensionally poor by the overall population. And second is the intensity of the poverty, and it will be calculated based on the average proportion of deprivation that is experienced by the multidimensionally poor people. Third is the overall calculation, which will be arrived by multiplying the incident of multidimensional poverty with intensity of poverty. Based on this only, the final multidimensional poverty index score will be calculated. Okay, how the data for 2013 to 14 and then 22-23 has been arrived. So typically the health matrices or the health data will be depend on the National Family Health Survey, but this National Family Health Survey will be conducted once in 5 years. So based on this National Family Health Survey, and then the technique of interpolation as well as the extrapolation of the data, this data have been arrived between the 2 respective financial years. So this is what the multidimensional poverty index is about, and this is how the multidimensional poverty index will be calculated. So this is what the thing is about. Let's look into what are all the areas which we needed to be further aware of. First is we should be aware of what is Human Development Index. Second is we should be aware of what are all the various committees that have been formed by Government of India over the years to calculate the poverty line. Thirdly, we should also be aware of what is urbanization, what is the important negative impact that has been arising because of the increased urbanization. We should be having a look into it. So these are all the areas which we needed to be further aware of, and with this we have reached the end of this topic. Okay, let's look into today's practice prelims question. Mentioned here is the today's practice prelims question. So those students, those who are watching this session online, take a pause, try to attempt the question and comment the answer in the comment section. Okay, with this we have reached the end of today's session. Please do like, comment, share as well as subscribe Ganesh IAS YouTube channel so that you will be receiving the daily current affair notification and also the weekly environmental and science and tech notification, and also any other important current affair session or exam related session that will be brought to you in the future by Ganesh IAS Academy. Thank you.